here to share with you another information, educational information regarding pregnancy. And today's topic is about an easy way to increase your protein intake whilst pregnant. I have made a whole lot of videos regarding the importance of protein. And as we know, nowadays there is that like the hype. You see that there is a hype, there's a trend of like eating more protein. Protein is good for you. It's actually a trend, yes, but it is an old way of saying that this is not something that goes and comes back or goes and never comes back again. This is something that comes and then it stays. Okay, so protein is important whether we like it or not. If you are pregnant, please do as much as possible to increase your protein intake. If you are in that stage of not being able to eat, in that stage of the first trimester when everything tastes and looks not so good and appetizing and palatable, it is okay to eat what you can. It is better to have something than not to have anything at all, because not eating anything at all also aggravates the symptoms that you are having. But if you are at that stage where you can eat enough, where you can actually feel hungry and want to eat, please prioritize eating more protein in your diet. Okay, so research have shown us that, or a lot of research, scientific literature tells us that there's a lot of data that shows that protein during pregnancy is goes up. The requirements for protein goes up. It is not like, okay, when you are eating protein, maybe 40 grams of protein before pregnancy, and then when you enter pregnancy you still be eating the same amount of protein. No, your protein increases, your protein requirement increases from 40 to 46 to about 100 or 110. Okay, depending on your weight, okay, and your height, it is required that you increase your protein intake. So if you are pregnant, please prioritize adding protein in your nutrition. Again, repeating myself. Okay, so not to sound a little aggressive. All right, so today's topic, like I said, is about protein. And actually today's topic is about non-animal protein. Okay, so as we know, there are two types of protein. There are animal protein and non-animal protein. So animal protein is the meat, the chicken, the beef, the fish, the eggs, a whole lot of that. Okay, all the animal protein that we get from the animal sources. But we also have protein in other foods that are not animal based. Okay, so we have protein in other foods like seeds, nut butters, and beans, and a whole lot. So today I'm going to share with you a few that you can incorporate in your diet if you have not incorporated anything yet, and it's just one way of eating that you're having, or you have varied ingredients in your food or varied nutrition, but the protein aspect is lacking. So what I'm gonna show you, I have a whole lot of ingredients over here that I want to share with you, and I'm going to also share the link in the description box just in case you are interested to purchase any of these, or you want to share it with other mamas as a gift to encourage them to increase more protein, or to encourage them to eat a varied amount of protein in their diet. Go for it. Okay, so protein is said to be the building blocks of our body. So when we have the skin, it is not just because out of nowhere we have the skin. It is because of protein and certain amino acids that metabolizes, that go a lot of things go on in our body to produce the skin or this body that we have. So without that protein, we cannot produce the muscles. Without that protein, we cannot produce the organs. Without that protein, we cannot produce the tissues and the cells even that is in our body. So we need the protein. Protein is very critical. It is the foundation of our body, okay? Then comes the other stuff, the fat, the carbohydrates, and the minerals, and the stuff like that. So when you are pregnant, like I said, your requirement increases. It increases to about 50%. That is from 46 grams or 47 grams to almost 100 grams or 120 grams. That is about 50 to 60% increase in protein requirement. And it's not only because you need it for the baby. And it's also not because the baby needs it, you need it postpartum. You need it when you are actually in the childbirth process. The childbirth is very dependent on the protein. There's quite some few ingredients quite some few nutrients that we need during the childbirth process itself. One is protein, the other one is water, hydration, and the third one is salt, actually. So the main one is protein. Without that protein, we cannot get a stretching skin, a stretching body, and a stretching cervix and uterus to be able to let the baby out, okay? And then if you are having an intervention birth, without that protein, it is really hard for a lot of stuff. So we need that protein, okay? We need that protein. And then also animal protein, like I said earlier, animal protein is really essential when you are pregnant. When you are pregnant, you really need animal protein because there are about 20 amino acids that we get from animal protein, from protein itself, okay? And then some amino acids that are in animal protein are not found in plant protein, okay? They are not found in plant protein. And then that amino acid, one of it is glycine. And then glycine is really important during pregnancy, during childbirth, and during postpartum. And one of the stages that we most of the time women forget is the postpartum period. Women forget about postpartum. We think about the process of preconception. We think about the process of fertility. Even sometimes a lot of women don't think about preconception. But the main focus is on pregnancy and on birth. And then we tend to forget about the postpartum. And the postpartum, to our surprise, it's the longest time. Pregnancy is only like 9 months, okay, for a lot of people. And that's how Allah designed it to be, for 9 months, right? Okay? But, and sometimes it doesn't happen until maybe it doesn't happen for 9 months for a lot of people. It happens maybe earlier or too early or in the middle or whatever it is. Whatever Allah blessed you with to have your pregnancy, it is okay. It is not something that you have to be ashamed of. But for postpartum, it is that journey that everybody has to go through. And it's long. It is not like, okay, I just want to have a postpartum that is 1 year. Or I just want to have a postpartum that is only 2 years or 6 months or 6 weeks. Like a lot of us think that 6 weeks is the first 40 days is the only time we have to be in the process and then strive to take care of ourselves, to have all of those things. But even after that, what comes after that is the most difficult part as well. So having enough protein during pregnancy, it is not only for that pregnancy, it is also for the childbirth and then also the postpartum. Okay, so the importance of protein is really, really something to emphasize on, and it's very essential. And then coming back to glycine, glycine is described as one of the conditionally essential nutrients. Conditionally essential nutrients that we need. What does that mean? That means that we actually need to eat food that contain high glycine in order to have enough glycine in our body. We need to actually eat. So when they say something is essential, essential means like maybe essential nutrient. That means that you need the food from food. You need the nutrient from food, excuse me. You cannot, your body cannot produce the nutrients, like some nutrients or some hormones or some enzymes or whatever that our body produces by itself. No, when we say something is essential, you have to get it from food. Okay, so glycine is one of the nutrients that we must get it from food in order to get enough. And that glycine is really important for the stretching body, for the stretching uterus, for the stretching skin, for the stretching tissues. Okay, so without eating enough protein, where do we get that? And every woman, when you ask, a lot of women want to have an easy pregnancy, easy birth especially. And then also now coming to our attention, postpartum requires even more, right? So what do we do to increase that? Sometimes it's hard, especially when it's in the first trimester. It is hard to having enough food or even enough protein, right? So there are little things that you can do, and that is what I want to emphasize in this video. And then inshallah, I will make a recorded video that I explain. I already have a recorded video that I explain a little bit about animal protein and plant protein. So I'm gonna also link it down in the description box below, and then you get the chance, please watch it and then educate yourself about that. But I'll also make a video that explains a whole lot about conditionally essential nutrients and all of that we need, especially for postpartum. Okay, so the first ingredient that I want to share with you is actually an easy one that I know a lot of people have, and then that is nuts. Okay, peanut butter, nut butter, almond butter, cashew. Like cashew, for instance, this cashew that I have is really delicious. It is really tasty, and it's easy to add into your nutrition, especially during the first trimester when everything else tastes not so good. Okay, so remember, when you go to the market, nuts are easy to get, nuts are easy to eat, they are tasty, they are easy to get, some protein in it, not as much if you have animal protein, but at least something, like I said, something is better than nothing, right? So nuts is really an amazing source of other nutrients on top of the protein that it has. And then nut butter, like I said, peanut butter, you can just use, instead of eating just bread, you add peanut butter. I've seen a video that one doctor made about insulin, okay, about how the insulin or our blood glucose level rises when we eat naked carbs. And naked carbs are like bread, okay? So even if you eat whole wheat bread, or you eat sourdough bread, or you eat whatever kind of bread, because they are naked carbohydrates, they are naked carbs, they would spike up your blood sugar. And spiking up your blood sugar is something that our body does not really enjoy as much, because once the blood sugar insulin level goes up and down, it dysregulates your hormonal balance. And then dysregulation of your hormonal balance causes a whole bunch of stuff. Not only nausea, not only vomiting, not only all the early pregnancy symptoms, but also the late pregnancy symptoms. And then with our unborn babies as well. Unborn babies as well are being affected by dysregulation in blood sugar. Okay. All right. So everything we do nowadays, like I always advocate for moms as well as babies, because we want to save the babies, yes, but moms have to be well. Moms have to also feel better in order to take care of the baby, or in order to carry a healthy baby. So if mom always, the attention of mom is always the baby, then where would you be after you have the baby? You will not be in a good state of health for you to even enjoy nurturing and carrying the baby. So it's really important that we pay attention to a whole lot of this. And giving education like I'm doing right now is one of my passion, and it's one of the things that I enjoy. At least somebody will hear and you pick up one or two, and it's going to take you that far. Right? Okay. So the next one is chia seed. Chia seed is an amazing source of protein as well, even though it doesn't have a lot of protein as hemp seed. I love it because it's helpful for a lot of things, like regulating our blood sugar, because it is it has a whole bunch of fiber in it, and it is amazing. All right. So chia seed can be used to make chia pudding. You can also add it in your baking stuff to make muffins. You can add it to make cookies. You can add it to make a whole bunch of stuff. And then also you can use it in replacement for eggs. Sometimes some plant-based people who are mainly plant-based, they don't eat animal products at all, use chia gel in place of eggs, right? They don't add eggs in their baking, and then they just soak this thing for a little bit and then get the gooiness, the sliminess that look like the albumin from eggs to make whatever they want to make in their baking. So I love it, and I'm gonna come also to make a recipe to show you how to make chia seed pudding, inshallah, very soon. I'm piling up all the topics that I need to discuss over here. And then the next one is collagen powder. Okay, collagen powder is such an amazing thing. It is really low effort. You don't need a lot of thinking to add this thing in your nutrition. Okay, so first thing in the morning when you wake up, if you are making tea, you just grab it and then have a scoop. One scoop is about 10 grams of protein. 2 scoops is about 20 grams of protein, and 20 grams of protein is almost 1/4 of what you need for the day, or a little less, but that is huge. Okay, so just a scoop of it would take you far. Okay, just a scoop or two of it in your tea. It does not taste like anything. It is really like nothing when you have the plain flavor, but when you go with the flavored one depends on what flavor you choose, has some flavor in it. But for me, my preference is the plain one. I can add it in my smoothies, I can add it in my water, I can add it in my tea, I can add it in my herbal tea as well. So it is just versatile and it's easy, very low effort. You don't need any thinking, you don't need nothing. You just grab it from your cabinet or from your pantry and you add it. Okay, so that's it, collagen. And collagen powder has a whole bunch of amino acids that we require during pregnancy as well. So it doesn't have a lot of calories. It's only 70 calories per 2 scoops of the collagen, and that's amazing. All right, so the next one is the hemp seed. Okay, hemp seed is such an amazing thing. If you have watched my videos before, you've seen me using hemp seed before, and hemp seed is really my favorite to add to a lot of things. Okay, and I love the nutty flavor. And if you can see, this is how it looks. This is how hemp seed looks if you've never seen it before. It is really actually an amazing source of protein as well, and healthy fat. Okay, so healthy fat is also one of the main things that we also have to prioritize when you are trying to be pregnant, or when you are pregnant actually. Okay, so hemp seed per 2 tablespoons is 10 grams of protein. That's easy. Very easy. So when you use 4 tablespoons, it's going to give you 20 grams of protein. And that's an amazing accomplishment that you can accomplish. So as easy as that. It does not have to be very elaborate. It's just that. Okay, 20 grams of protein, as easy as that. And it tastes really good. When you put it in smoothie, it makes the smoothie so creamy and tasty and nutty a little bit. But if you don't even taste the nuttiness, it just adds some richness to the smoothie. And then when you add it to baking, you can add it to your stews. You can add it to anything that you want to add it to. So here you go, hemp seed, as easy as that. And then next one is some quinoa. Okay, so quinoa is actually not a grain, but sometimes when you see, you think it's grain. Okay, so this is quinoa. There is different variety of quinoa. Okay, so this one, so this one is the white one. There is black one. There is different. There's mixed one. All right. So this, I'm not sure if you can see it in the video. Yeah, I think you can. All right. So quinoa is actually beautiful. It tastes like rice sometimes when you cook it, and you cook it like rice. And then you add your vegetables. You add, if you want to use stew, you can use stew. If you want to make it with soup, you can use that as well. I've seen people use it to make soup. Like they make soup and they add the quinoa in it, so they don't have to eat it with anything else, but just the quinoa. Or you can just make some fish and add it to it. If you don't eat fish, like if you are plant-based, you know how to like pair things up. It's easier to have your protein requirements met, inshallah. And quinoa is like 8 grams of protein per 1 cup when you cook it. Okay, so 8 grams of protein per 1 cup when you cook it. It's really easy. It's very easy. Really enjoy as well. And then the next one is my good old bone broth. Okay, so this is actually amazing. There is a lot of research that shows the health benefits that the health benefit of bone broth. Bone broth is really like something that has a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so it's actually made from the bones of chicken or beef or any meat at all. So the collagen that comes out from the bone, the mineral, the demineralization of the bone itself is what goes into the water that is being cooked with, and everything else. If you add some vegetables in it, if you add some mushrooms, if you add whatever it is that you add, all come together to make bone broth such an amazing protein source during pregnancy and postpartum. Okay, so if you happen not to eat animal food, you can also make vegetable broth. So that is also like you have all your vegetables or the skin of your vegetables. When you peel onions, make sure that you get organic onions or organic vegetables that don't have a lot of pesticides on them, and you wash them properly. So when you peel them, you can choose to have a bag, maybe a Ziploc bag like this, and you keep it in your freezer. So when you peel some onions, you use the peel and you put it in. You peel carrots, you take the skin and you put it in. You peel mushrooms, or you cut off mushrooms, you take some part that you don't like and you put everything in. So when the bag, you can actually have a bigger one than this one. This is just a demonstration. So the bag, when it's filled up, then you bring it out, defrost it, and then you put it in your instant pot, or you put it in your pot, your soup pot, whatever you use to make your soup or whatever you feel comfortable with. And then you add some water, you have some spices, maybe peppercorn, you add some mustard seeds, you add some anise seeds, you add whatever it is, coriander, cumin, anything that you want to add it actually, and then cook it to boil. And when it starts to boil, then you reduce the heat to cook it under low heat until about a little bit, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, or overnight, depending on where you are cooking it. If you are cooking it in the instant pot, there is possibly a button to use to cook your broth. Otherwise, you cook it and then you strain it. Okay, and then you use the same process to do with the bone broth, actually. So bone broth is also used. You can use the same process to cook your bone broth. Okay, and it's as easy as that, and you get a very gelatinized liquid after you put it in the fridge and you cook. After you strain it and you put it in the fridge, it's very gelatinized. And then when you bring it out, you fetch a little bit and you boil, you microwave it, or you cook it on the stove, and then you add it to rice or quinoa. When you're making quinoa, instead of adding just water, you add the broth, and it adds a whole bunch of collagen. It has a whole bunch of glycine, as I mentioned earlier. It has a whole bunch of protein as well. Okay, and it's easy. It's actually easy, very accessible. You can make it by yourself at home in your own kitchen. If it happens that you can't make it, you are very intimidated by doing it, because I've seen people who feel intimidated to make bone broth, you can actually purchase some from the store. But make sure that you are purchasing whatever bone broth you are purchasing is actually bone broth. So the ingredients should say, the first ingredient should say bone, made from bones of maybe fish or chicken. I've not seen bone broth from chicken before. I mean, from fish before, but let's assume that there is one. So it's made from bones of chicken or beef or any animal that, or turkey. Yeah. So make sure that it is that, but not to say, okay, chicken breast or chicken. The first ingredients would be like chicken meat or chicken breast or beef or something. No, it has to say bone. Then you know that, yeah, you are getting all the glycine and the collagen and all the good stuff, the amino acids that you require for your growing uterus and your stretching body. All right. So I think that would be it. And then also the last but not the least is beans. I quickly mentioned about beans, but I want to also mention about that. So there are a whole bunch of beans like garbanzo beans, like chickpeas, like kidney beans, peanut, what is it called? The black eyed peas, very accessible, very cheap, inexpensive black eyed peas. But bear in mind, beans and legumes also come with a lot of carbohydrates in them, okay? So in as much as they have protein, they also come with carbohydrate. And then the protein actually is not a heme protein. It's not an animal protein, so it's not like a complete protein. I said heme. It's not a complete protein, so you have to also make sure that in as much as you're getting your protein from these sources, you pair it up with other sources of protein that would actually give you a complete protein. Okay. All right. So I guess I will just end it here. And I've seen some people hop on. So thank you very much for hopping on. And I hope you follow up to watch the whole video if you have not watched until the end. So inshallah, or share it with other women who need to hear this. All right. So I also want to just give you a little bit about something that I want to launch, and it is about a meal delivery service that I am inshallah going to bring to you to just support you during the postpartum period. So a lot of the times women struggle with cooking or with nourishing themselves postpartum because you just had a baby and it's hard. Everything is difficult. If you find yourself not around family members, not around friends, if you find yourself really with limited help, it is really hard. It's a new life for you, new life for the baby, and new life for your partner if your partner is around helping as well. It is new life for everybody, and it's really hard. Nourishing yourself is essential. It's very important when you just have a baby. But sometimes it's hard to do it, and it brings a whole lot of things with it, with the lack of inability to do that. Okay, so it brings a whole lot, like malnutrition, like nutrient depletion, like sleep deprivation. Especially there is also that sleep deprivation that comes from the waking of the baby at night and everything else. So it is really hard, right? And then also your body, if you are breastfeeding, your body needs a lot of nutrients to be able to sustain the breast milk, to make proper good quality breast milk, and then also enough for the baby as well. And then maintain your nutrients, okay? Not that your body is really giving all to the baby and then there's nothing left for you. You need that to also be healthy and well. So I'm bringing to you a meal delivery service that is actually geared towards nourishing postpartum mothers, okay? Nourishing postpartum mothers. So it's going to be like a list of food that contains soups, that contains snacks, and then also some drinks and teas that support healing and support recovery in the first few weeks of postpartum. That's the first 40 days or the first 45 days of having a baby. So I am hoping to bring to you, inshallah, next week, inshallah, on Friday. So please watch out for that, and then share this information to other women who might need it as well. Okay, so until next time, I will see you, inshallah, next week to launch this meal delivery service with you, inshallah. So I hope you subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. And also please share and like this video so a lot of people will have this information and also patronize what I am sharing, or I can support them in the little way I can, inshallah. So until next time, be in the best of health and iman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.